Hi guys, so a lot of my friends actually asked me about questions about Malaysia parliamentary system, and I understand that actually there are a lot of voters, regardless you're young or you're old, they don't really understand how the system works. So for your, in order to be more well informed in this election, we have to roughly talk about Malaysia parliamentary system. So basically Malaysia is a Westminster bicameral system. So by that, we follow the parliamentary system in UK, and we are bicameral means we have two houses in terms of our parliament. So we have the upper house, which is Dewan Negara. Dewan Negara members are not elected by the people, they are appointed. And second, we have Dewan Rakyat. Dewan Rakyat is a lower house, it is directly elected by the people. Therefore, actually, in terms of power balance, Dewan Rakyat has more decision-making power because they have a direct mandate from the people. So when we vote for someone in one general election, we are voting for members of parliament, people that goes into Dewan Rakyat and can vote for different legislations. So, however, because we are we are a federal system, so we have a federal government, which is a government of all of Malaysia, and we also have states government, which is which you will vote for certain adun into your respective state government and make decision with regards to the state. So actually, you are still local council, and you want to chip in here?
So like what David said, there are three different levels, right? So at least for this election, certain states you only vote for one person. Why? Because the parliament is dissolved, but Selangor, Penang, even Kedah, Kelantan, Terengganu, their state assemblies are not dissolved. So you're only voting for one, which is the federal. But in different states, they also have their own state government. For instance, in Penang, Negeri Sembilan, and Selangor, it's headed by Pakatan Harapan, right? And then in Pahang, Johor, these two are led by Barisan Nasional, but Pahang was dissolved also. So Pahang voters would definitely vote for two candidates. So that's the second stage, the state level. And lastly, you also have, which is quite not well known, by general citizens, but I would argue that it's very important because it directly impacts your everyday lives. It's the local level, the
local council.
The local council government, because these the local government level deals with issues such as potholes, roads, drainage. So
it's your bread and butter.
It's things that is very physical, right? When you go outside, how well your roads are tarred. So for instance, in my place, it's MBPJ, Majlis Bandaraya Petaling Jaya. So they have this local council, and in KL, you have DBKL. You only have DBKL, right? So that's your local government.
Alright.
But a very important thing to note is also like, in KL, those that are voting in KL, you don't have an adun, you don't have state assembly, because KL itself, you only have federal parliamentary seats. And in other countries, local government, they are also voted in, but unfortunately in Malaysia, local government is not elected by the people, but they are also appointed. Mostly along party lines.
So okay, so we just clarified there are three levels. There are the national levels, the federal levels, and you have state levels, and you have local levels. So but for the purpose of this video, we have to keep it short. We have to focus on this election. We're just going to talk about members of parliaments and their respective duties. So when you vote for members of parliaments, they go into the parliament, and one of the most important jobs they do is they legislate. They will vote or they will also propose certain bills. Bills means laws, and then they will debate in the parliament and decide whether we want to implement this law or not. So if you vote for an MP, he goes to the parliament and he starts debating and he proposes a bill. We want to reform our education. Then the whole parliament will engage in debates. Then if the majority of them decide that, okay, this reform should go, they will set up a law that will have a lot of long-term effects in terms of the political impact. Because once you have a law, it sets a standards. When the government want to make any decisions, any policies, they have to adhere to this law. So this is one of the most important things that an MP do, members of parliament. The second thing they need to do is groundwork. So because they are voted by local voters, they are voted in certain district, in certain daerah, in certain constituency. Therefore, they should also serve the interests of that respective constituency. So you should expect them to show up in their own constituency. If they don't, that's their problem. You should expect them to respond to the needs of the constituency. Two main things: MP should attend parliament sessions. Because it's very critical, they make laws that everyone should follow. Secondly, they should appear on constituency to deal with local matters. So if you want to see whether the MPs are doing job, just look at their attendance at the parliament, and you will realize along party lines, there are certain members from certain parties that don't really show up. They're always ponting. And you also look at constituency, whether they really address your personal issue or not. So these are responsibilities of MP. So when you vote for an MP, consider these two factors: whether they are doing their job in the parliament and whether they are doing their job in their constituents.
Yeah,
that's all.